I really thought that I would come back and be able to continue to lay the foundation of me and build that relationship with whoever may be watching this. And life will always turn something upside down. And after I got back from vacation, I got back September 6th, and went back to work. And on the 12th of September, I just had this feeling that I just really needed to talk to my brother. And I had it in my mind. I'm gonna call my brother today. And I wanted to talk to Promise anyway about, what he had going, about, him pursuing his CDL and things of that nature, and just talk to my brother. And he actually ended up calling me around, I think, about 12:30. And we talked for about, I think, a little under an hour and a half. We got off the phone a little bit before 2 o'clock. And, told him I loved him and all of that. We just had a really good conversation. And we were slated. We had talked about, our mom had set up a visit to go see Prince. We were talking about that. And again, I said, "Oh, I'm gonna call you back, and I'll talk to you again tonight." And we hung up the phone. And then the last part of my workday, my phone rings, and I think the call came in about 5:02, 5:03, a couple minutes after 5. And it's my mother. So I answer the phone and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And she just screamed my name. And then she let out this wail. This wail that, it is a sound that only a mother can make. And I already knew. And she just said, "Prince is dead." And she screamed. And I just hung up the phone. And I stood up, and everything stopped. I don't even know if I was breathing. And it was like 34 years flashed before my eyes. It was like a scene in a movie. Image after image after image after image, memory after memory. And I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just kept saying no, no, mm-mm. And I didn't want to believe it. And then all I could think about was promise. And I couldn't bring myself to call him. Then my phone rings again, and it's my aunt. And she's like, Passion? I was like, I already know. Then I hung up the phone. And she called back. She's like, I just called because your mom asked me to call y'all and tell y'all. I said, she already called me. And then my phone rings again. And it's Carly. She's just like, Promises on the floor, crying uncontrollably, and I do not know what to do. When are you coming? And I told her, I will get there. I'm coming. And I got off the phone. And my phone rings again and again and again. And all I could think about is, who's going to tell his kids? I need to call my goddaughter, my niece. And then the next 72 hours are just something that we'll never forget. And I don't really think I want to. But I called my wife, and she didn't answer. And she called me back, and I couldn't form words. But eventually I got it out, and I told her, hey, my brother is gone. Prince is gone. And all she could say was, baby, I'm so sorry. And I'll come get you. And I told her no, because she was actually doing one of her friends' hair for their birthday. And even in all that, I didn't want to have her leave what she was doing and leave her friend out there with her hair half done for her birthday, because it's not going to change anything right now. So I told her, I'll drive myself home and finish that and just meet me at the house. Don't call Ace. I'll talk to him when I get there. And she asked me, is there anything you need me to do, or how can I help you? And I said, you text my parents. Text mom and dad. Or call them and let them know, because I can't. And I get myself together, and I drive myself home. I get home and only my son is there. And I walk in and he's like, "What's wrong?" But he always asks that, or "Are you okay?" As soon as I walk through the door. So I'm fine. Just had a rough day at work. And I came upstairs and I came in here and I just looked at that picture of him on the wall over there and I just cried. Because I refused to cry at work. And at that point, I refused to let my son see me cry. And a little bit after that, one of my friends came because my wife called a couple of my friends. Amari came over and sat with me because nobody else was here. And a few minutes later, my parents showed up and once my parents showed up, I knew I had to talk to my son. And so I came back up here and asked them to send him. And I told him, and he looked at me and he just said, "I don't believe you." And he walked away. And then I sat with my parents for a little bit, and my mom asked me, what can we do to help you right now? It was so strange to be in a space to where your parents are telling you, "I have no idea how you feel. I have no idea how to help you." And I sat with him for a while, and I came back downstairs, and I asked my son, I said, "Hey, do you mind playing some music for me? Play that, play that song that your uncle likes. Play Jupiter." My son got his cello and played for me, and I just sat there in that moment. And it was a moment of just reflecting on him. And I just thought about his smile. Didn't want to, didn't want to cry. But it doesn't, it doesn't matter what you want to do. For me, it didn't. It mattered what I needed to do and what I had to do at that moment. And that was, I know, I knew right then that I had to bury my brother. I had to bury my little brother. And I'm immediately calling funeral directors, and because my mom had already picked one, she had already reached out. And I talked to Patrick Cravens. He's let me know the gist of what was going to happen with trying to recover my, not trying to, but the process of recovering my brother's body from the state. And my wife got home. She got home late. It took forever to do her friend's hair. She felt so bad. that she wasn't there for me in that moment. But I didn't want to disrupt anybody else's life with what I had going on. And the next day, that would have been Saturday. The next day, I get up and I have a text message from my cousin. And it's a long text message. And when I get long text messages, I just kind of skim through and get the like keywords to see if it's something I need to like really dive into and really, really read. And the only word I read is like she said she was sorry and like if she overstepped, and I didn't know what was going on, so I just called her. And I said, "Hey, what are you talking about?" And she's like, "Well, I made a Facebook post and I didn't want to. I'm sorry if I overstepped." And I was like, "Hey, I have no idea what you're talking about. I've not been on social media." And she was like, "Well, our other cousin had already made a post, so it was bothering me, and I just posted, and I'm sorry." And I told her, I said, "Well, I understand why you did it. It was an emotional decision, but I honestly wish you hadn't. But I do appreciate you apologizing." And that was that. I don't have time to be angry about stuff like that right now, right then in that moment. And it just went left. It caught on like wildfire. And she wasn't the one that started it. The person that started it knows who they are. It knows why it was an issue. And so once that happened, we all know how social media works, especially Facebook. And so there were conspiracy theories and people just saying any and everything. And I was so agitated. But at that time, I didn't even know because I wasn't on social media. And so I think it was Saturday. It might have been Sunday because I'm getting I didn't sleep much for 3 months straight. But the funeral home had like posted the official obituary for Prince because I had already gave him the information. And it was for their website. And so Promise called me and I was like, "What's wrong?" He was like, "I'm just really emotional. The Cravens Funeral Home just posted Prince's digital just announcement." And I went on there to read it and I just got really emotional and I just wanted to talk to you. So I talked to him. And so once I finished talking with him, I went to look at it for myself because I didn't want him to sit in that alone. And mind you, neither one of us had posted anything, nor our mother. We have not made an announcement that Prince had passed. Nothing. That was kind of the announcement, I guess. But when I got on there, by the time I got on there, my brother, Promise, had made a Facebook post just basically asking people to give him space and stop asking him what happened. And that really angered me that my brother had to do that. And I'm not a typer. So because I was upset and I knew I was getting ready to drive up to Sherman, I made a video addressing all of that. And it was basically, it was letting people know that they had overstepped in that they needed to give us space, and they needed to give my brother space. And I was angry. And I was angry that I was angry for a different reason. I was angry because people had pushed me there so quickly. My brother hadn't been gone 24 hours. And it's on Facebook, and we got conspiracy theories. And I was so angry that no one thought about his kids. My niece saw so much stuff on social media, and she's 13. And I let people know, like, hey, I understand why you did it. And everybody that had a post it wasn't malice intent, but for a lot of you, it was selfish. It was attention seeking. And I still feel that way. And I posted the video straight to Facebook, and I got in my truck and I drove to Sherman. And that was on Sunday. And by the time I got there, shit had already just seemed like it exploded. And my mother had already got into verbal altercations with people. She was already cussing people out. And if this makes it, this is part of my story. It's going to go. Once we are actually be able to go back on track, you will understand all of that. Why these reactions, why certain people are reacting a certain way, and why there's issues. But she had already gotten into a couple of arguments. And unbeknownst to me, when I posted my video, everybody fused that together like we were in one and the same. And that was an issue just because of the type of relationship that me and my mother had prior to that moment. And I walked into a shitstorm. I walked into people already arguing. I walked into people already placing blame. And I walked into a lot of lies. I walked into a lot of people not thinking for themselves. I walked into a lot of people just hearing something from somebody else and not checking to verify that information. I walked into people saying that I said things I'd never said from a video that anybody could have watched. And I walked into people already calling me and saying, hey, I'm not coming to your brother's service because I have an issue with your mother at this point. And that hurt so much. Because in that moment, all I was trying to do was give my brother the best going home I could. And I'm going to take you guys through that process. Maybe I'll label them a certain way, so if you don't want to see it, you can go to a different video. But I learned a lot of things about a lot of people. There are people I will never talk to again. There are things that happen that it seemed like it undid so much therapy. I got to a point where I was wishing this shit on people. I wanted people to go through what I was going through. I wanted you to feel the way I felt. I wanted you to know how you made me feel. And I know that's wrong. But part of me wanted that. And I wanted them people to know that I knew how they felt and I didn't give a fuck. Because you didn't give a fuck about me. It ain't even about me. You didn't give a fuck about my brother. You didn't love him like you said you did. Because if you did, you wouldn't have acted the way that you did. But through all of that, when I drove up on Sunday, I probably would have been about 2 hours from Sherman. And I was talking to Promise, and he says, hey, Little Prince has a basketball game. And I'm like, what? Okay, we're going to make a detour. We're going to go to Little Prince's basketball game. And he's like, it's the second half. So I'm booking it. I'm trying to get to, and I know this is all over the place, but this is still in that same 72 hours. So we pull up and we get out, and we're going to Prince's basketball game. And we walk in the gym, and I'm looking for him. And I hadn't seen my nephew in 6 years. But when I saw him, it was like I saw his dad at that moment. He looked just like him. He moved just like him. He shot the ball just like him. And I just sat there and I watched him. And then my niece, Everly, who is Prince's youngest daughter, she came up to me and she's like, that's my brother. That's my brother. And I wanted to cry so bad because she had never met her brother. That was her first time seeing him. And when Little Prince came off the court, she runs up to him and she's hugging him, and they both look just like their dad. It is uncanny. And she's like, I love you, and hugging on him, and it just broke my heart and made me happy at the same time. And he hugged everybody, and he hugged me last. I thought he was upset with me, but he came up and he gave me a hug, and I just tried not to cry. I started crying a little bit, and he just said, I know. And he sounded just like his dad. And we went and got something to eat. Went to, I don't know, On the Border or some Mexican restaurant. And I'm looking at him, and it was him, Dev, and Everly Chloe wasn't there yet. This is my goddaughter, my brother's oldest daughter. And he eats everything just like his dad. And so while we're eating, he's talking smack to Promise. He's talking cash money to his uncle. He's picking on him. Like, you would have thought that we had never been apart the way he was talking to Promise. And it was like watching Promise and Prince go at it when they were younger. So they get to talking about basketball, and Prince is like, there's a court around the corner. So we all, once we finish eating, we all go and we go to the basketball court. And nobody's dressed for basketball except Prince. But we go, and Promise and Prince play, Prince Jr. play. And it is literally like watching my brothers play. And Prince is talking smack to him the whole time, and Promise is talking. They're going. It was the saddest and most beautiful thing I had seen. And so they were like, "You gonna play him?" I was like, "I'll play him." He's like, "Oh, you gonna go get this work?" I said, "I'm not worried about winning or losing. I'm just want to play basketball with you." And me and him were playing, and it was a totally different vibe when he played Promise and then when he played me. And it was like, as I'm playing with him, I'm telling him, "Hey, watch that weight distribution. Come off this way. Hit that left like this. Finish. No, you need some finesse." Just coaching him the entire time. He's taking it in. And it was just like playing basketball with his dad. He's listening to what I'm saying. And we play, and then Everly's asking if, can my brother take me on the swings? So she wants Prince to take her on the swings, and we do that. And it was a moment to where, like, you want to be so angry because of so much time that was taken from you. But in that moment, I couldn't be angry because the one thing that my brother had been wanting and had been begging for was happening. You know, I got to see his son and check on him. But the problem was I couldn't tell him how he was. And that's what these next couple episodes, or however I do this, because I don't want to just, because if I do that, that's going to be a month of me just going through that whole process, and even still what I'm going through now. But that was my focus that first 72 hours. I needed to get to his kids. And I did that. And I felt like I was the only one worried about that, other than my brother, right? But everybody else was worried about self. Worried about making it about them. I don't know what it is about the loss of a precious soul that turns people into the most vile human beings on the planet. But I do know, no, I did know what I was not going to let happen was for them to taint this moment in these children's lives, in my life, my mother's life, even though she has some things we got to discuss too. But at the same time, that's her story and the loss of her son. Anybody outside of that, outside of me, Promise, Precious, and Nina, you didn't, and I'm talking about grown people, you don't matter. You're not the main character. And even with us, we're not the main character. And that process, it was a lot of people not making it about him, not leaving it to be about his children moving forward. And my thing has always been, and even in that moment, I kept saying, how did we get here? Like, even right now, how am I here? Why am I right here? So those first 72 hours have literally foreshadowed the next 6 weeks of my life after that. And even up to now. And I don't know if I'm going to post this. I don't know. I don't know if I just post this unedited. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I just know that this is what I'm going through. This is what I've been through. And it literally is a representation of why I hate Sherman, Texas, why I hate Grayson County. That place took everything from me. It took my childhood. It took my innocence. It took my fucking brother. I do apologize. And I promise to get back to what I originally thought this was going to be, but I don't know what this is going to be anymore. But I can't say get over this because I won't. I have to get through this. I have to learn to live with this because it's not going anywhere. So if you're still here, thank you. And I'm sorry. But this is going to be my testimony. This is my story. I will share how that whole process went. I will share why there are so many issues with how we got here. And what I want to do is try to prevent anybody else from getting to this point. I know we are all going to lose someone, but in certain ways we don't have to lose them. I need a break.